Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to extract the PLC program that allows the TNC155B user interface to work. So to start with, I've got the machine booted up and homed, and I've also got the TNC server program over here on my computer ready to accept the readout. So the first thing we have to do is come to the console, and we have to get into the correct mode. So press the mode button. Up here it's asking, or telling me about the blocks. I go here and I press up once, and it's asking for the code number. Now the code number is one of those typical runs that Hide and Hain do. So we'll come down here and we start 9, 5, 1, 0, 2, 6, enter. And now, it's meant to be in English, but it's doing it in German. And it's asking me these questions up the top. And what I want to do is actually get into edit mode. Okay, now what they do is they reassign all these numbers here, and the button I want to push here for edit mode is this one. And you can see now I'm in the editor, and there is the code for the PLC. So now I'll go back up with the up arrow to get to 0. So here I have it in PLC editor mode, and now I'm going to try and get it to put out the program. So I come down here and I hit external, right? So there we go. Now it wants to know whether I want to read the program in for the PLC or read it out. So I'm going to hit no enter, so it reads out. So there we go, no enter. And now it's asking me whether I want to output it in ASCII or binary. Okay, so I wanted an ASCII, so I hit enter. Enter. And it says here, what line number do I want to start at? Well, 0 is fine. So I'll hit enter again. And it wants to know the final line I want to output. Now I know this thing can only, the biggest line it can take, or block number, is 2047, so we'll put that in. 2047, and I press enter. Now it wants me to give it a program number. No, well, I think I'll just pick 5. Okay, and now we go enter. And what's it doing? There it is. So on the TNC server program, it's printing out the entire PLC program to my computer here. Takes it a while. Okay, here it's finally written the whole thing out completely. You can see it's it actually can't take a number bigger than 2047. I presume that's something to do with the size of the largest program you can have in the PLC. Okay, and if you think about it, it put in block number or line number 0, so it's actually 2048, which is what you might call logical. The no-ops started way back, so there's plenty of room to put more in, more program in. If you're wondering where all those keystrokes came from, it's buried deep in the TNC155B PLC programming manual. And here's a particular page, C5. You can see we started with pressing the mode button, then we pressed up once, then we put in the secret source, entered, and you end up with this rather odd prompt. And what they're actually saying is that the different ways different things you can select. And this is where the reprogramming of those keys I talked about happens. So you can see here, if you hit the tab button, to get the tab button, you will have to press the single block mode and so on. And the one we want is the PLC programming editor. And it's the editing button. Okay, so now we've got into the editor mode for the PLC programming. We now want to get an output. So we press the external button. Okay, it's asking whether we want to output the program or put in a new one. Okay, I want to output, so I hit no enter. No enter here, and to be down to here. Now it's asking whether I want to output in terms of an ASCII file or a binary file. And I want the ASCII file, so I hit enter. And we come over here, enter. Then it asks me the line number to start with, which was 0 if you recall. I hit the enter button. It prompts me for the final program line. If you recall, that was 2047. Hit the enter button. And then it asks me, do I want to output the program, basically? And I press enter, and we get an external data output. Notice here, I think this is actually a typo. I think this is meant to say output. And at this stage down here, of course, we start seeing the program being transmitted through to the TNC server program to my computer. And one more thing here, it looks like somewhere in here, they've missed the prompt for the program number for the output. So now we've got it all out of the machine. What does it actually mean? Well, I'm going to jump to one of the appendixes, D3, where they've printed out the standard PLC program. It happens to be revision 3. And they've nicely commented the whole thing, as we can see. And the difference is that the one I've printed out is actually revision 4. And while a lot of it looks the same as this one, this bit here is not quite the same. But I was able to comment it from this completely, and I'll put that up in a link below to one of my cloud drives so you can look at it yourself. So let's explain what we see here. You'll notice that there's all these logic statements here. Now, a U in German and is und. So all those U's mean an and statement. So they're Boolean logic for and. So here is and not, and not, and not. And down on here we see or. And in various other places we'll see or not as well. And so what this is saying is that if these are all and nots, then a thing called M900 is going to be energized. Now you can see that they've designated these M things that are they call markers. And they're not the markers that you see in other manuals that are index marks and so on. They're actually some bits of memory that are set. So each one has an associated memory bit that's either set or not. And they're used kind of in a way like internal relays would be used in ladder code. And the thing you see here is these mnemonics, all this mnemonics, would just as well lend themselves to being in ladder code as they do to be in the Boolean logic that the manual here explains at some length. Now, the nice thing about ladder code is that it's almost a clone of relay logic. So if I was to use this to write ladder logic, which I hope to get around to doing later, most you'll be able to read it if you know how to read the wiring diagram for your machine. So if you were to start at the beginning of the manual, you wouldn't really know what all these M's and things are. But when we get further down here, we start seeing how physical it really is. So this little thing here is saying that it's going to set, if this AND statement is true, then it's going to make energized A0. And A0 is actually a pinout on the motherboard of the Heidenhain. And it's physically wired directly to terminal J1. And so on here. So you can see these are actually setting these, or energizing these, sorry, are actually putting out 24 volts on the terminals on the backplane of the Heidenhain. So in this case, we would see that if the AND statement, which is actually an open switch, normally open switch on a rung of the ladder code, is switched on, then output A1 or terminal J2 is energized. And in ladder code, you would have a rung with a switch and an output coil, if you like, of A1. In ladder code, it could also be just setting a bit, like it does up here, right? So it changes it into automatic mode versus single block and manual and so on. So you can see here how it changes modes by simply using an internal bit 905, 908, 909, etc. And in relay logic, it would be, these would be a normally open switch connected to a relay coil instead of this, perhaps. So we can see here that the program runs for several pages through to here. Quite a lot. Oops. Okay, through to there. What I've actually done in my editing of the output that I get for version 4, which is the latest version made by Heidenhain as a standard revision of the PLC program, is I've added quite a lot more to these comments here. And so to make it a bit easier, I've actually put ands and ors and nands and nors all the way down all these guys. So you'll be able to see that. I'm going to put it up in binary, in the ASCII, and then in the commented ASCII, so that you've got a choice to see what's going on. And if you're brave, you could follow the earlier part of this video and see the flowchart to actually put it into the RAM of your machine and give it a go. There's a caveat. I don't know if you have to upgrade the numeric control part of the controller to make it so that this is the new version 4 of the PLC is compatible. I think my machine's NC code is actually up to revision 11. You can tell what revision you've got by printing it out on the console. To do that, you simply go to the mode button, then up arrow until you find the serial numbers for the NC and the PLC, and the version number is simply the last 2 digits. Well, that's about it for this video. It doesn't look like I can get the binary to extract, so I might have to leave that for another video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.